What's up, fragrance fans? Tommy with Studio Sins here. Thanks for stopping by. I apparently am not done with the wide and wonderful world of clones. Most of the clones that I've talked about, at least recently, have been in the designer territory. If there was ever a genre or type of fragrance that created the need for clones, it's definitely in niche. One of the whole purposes of clones is that the price is so much lower than the original fragrance. Only the presentation is getting mimicked and the smell is getting mimicked. The market price, the retail price of the fragrance is what's completely different. And when it comes to niche, most of the time you're talking hundreds of dollars of difference. And when you're talking that kind of difference, suddenly everybody's a little bit curious, at least, about clones. So today we're talking about the fragrance house of Xerjoff, which creates amazing fragrances. In fact, one of my top 5 tobacco fragrances of all time, Naxos, comes from Xerjoff. The fragrance that's being cloned is actually from Xerjoff. We're going to dig into that in more detail in this juicy clone revelation. Got that and more coming up, so stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone, to my apparently ongoing and continuing program regarding clones. It hits everyone in that particular spot. No, not the heart, the wallet. Everyone is interested in saving money, even very rich people. How do you think they got rich? Are interested in saving money. There's really no better savings than looking into clones, and in particular, high-quality clones. The clone house we're talking about today is one of my favorite. It's called Geparlys. It's a French clone house, Geparlys. The fragrance that we're talking about being cloned is from Xerjoff. It's Xerjoff Erba Pura, which literally translates pure herb. It's a very popular unisex fruity banger for men and women. It is a cornucopia fruit basket that's just this amazing citrus bomb. The fragrance that Geparlys has created to clone Erba Pura is actually called Cedre Bleu, which is blue cedar, part of their collection privé, or their private collection. Geparlys is pretty well known for their inspired of. Let's talk about the notes that are actually in Erba Pura. Erba Pura opens up with Sicilian orange and lemon and Italian bergamot, so it's a very citrusy, fruity open. It continues that with a heart that's only described as a Mediterranean fruit basket. So more fruit on top of fruit, fruit jammed into fruit, basically. The base is amber, vanilla bean, and white musk. Okay, so that's Erba Pura. Did you hear any herbs in there? I don't think there are any herbs mentioned, at least technically, in the fragrance. So why it was named Pure Herb, I have no clue. It's part of that whole fragrance cologne obfuscation strategy, I guess. Let's confuse them so they're not sure what they're getting and they'll like it even more. It seems that Geparlys followed that obfuscation rule because this is called Cedre Bleu, which is blue cedar, but the fragrance it's mimicking doesn't have cedar in it, and I hate to break it to you, but this doesn't have cedar in it either, and it's not really blue. So all of that is kind of confusing. Before we go into the notes, let's take a quick look at the presentation. The box is relatively utilitarian and plain. We've got a thematic color scheme of gold and blue. The sides of the box have no information. The back of the box has some ingredients, some additional information. Batch code, which I will show here if you're interested in checking that out on checkfresh.com. The bottom of the box has a UPC. The top of the box is also blank. It's relatively heavy graded cardboard and cardstock though, so it is well made. And then we have the bottle. The bottle is made up of a plastic lid that does kind of softly click into place, and you can hold it up, so it's got a pretty good bond there, but it is unfortunately not magnetic. Even some of the cheaper clones of designers, for example, Yes, I Am the King Lion, which is a Carolina Herrera Bad Boy clone, and actually a good one, has a magnetic lid. I'm not sure why a niche clone from their private collection doesn't have a magnetic lid. That's a relatively small offense, but it should be part of the presentation, and it is obviously lacking. So we've got this medium blue colored bottle with a nameplate that is blue and gold. It says it's Cedre Bleu, Collection Privé, Paris. And then on the bottom, we have a sticker with some additional information. It is a 100 ml bottle and it is eau de parfum concentration. Now that we've looked at the presentation, what are the notes that make up Cedre Bleu? Cedre Bleu features top notes of mango, orange, and tangerine, with heart notes featuring peach, pineapple, and hazelnut. Resting on a base of musk, amber, vanilla, and precious woods. Okay, so you can see almost note for note that it's identical to Erba Pura. But again, no mention of cedar and no mention of herbs. So maybe Erba Pura should be renamed Fructus Pura. For whatever reason they have for doing that, they're not going to reveal it anytime soon, but Geparlys took that and ran with it because there's no cedar, and it's not really a blue fragrance because it's a citrus bomb. The niche fragrance that it's emulating is a citrus bomb, and in fact this is a citrus bomb. So let's talk about the aroma. What happens when you first spray this on? And I'll show you an example of the spray here. The spray is relatively good. The pump is gold color with a G for Geparlys on the top of the atomizer pump, which is kind of a nice nod, even though the magnetic lid is missing, so you get that as a counterbalance, I guess. Spray is relatively decent. I would say midline for a niche clone. Should be a little bit better. But overall, the presentation's decent. It's pretty good. But the smell of the fragrance is where it's at. Guys, if you are a lover of all things fresh and fruity and heavy, this is the fragrance for you. Erba Pura is an amazing fragrance. It's one of those, again, that's perfectly unisex. There isn't a hint of floral about Erba Pura. It's heavy and light facets of sweet fruit. Very few bright, fresh summertime fragrances that are unisex get it as right as Erba Pura. It's so good. Naturally, I was curious about this, and I am quite pleased to say this is a near spot-on emulation of Erba Pura. What you get when you first spray this on is a burst of citrus sweet. This is a sweet, heavy, dense, but it is on the fresh, fruity side. So fruit can be a bit cloying, it can be a bit too sweet, and you just feel like you're kind of suffocating of sugar diabetes, you know, fructose sugar diabetes. That's not the case with this. A bit synthetic, as you might imagine, right? So because you're only paying like what, 26 bucks for this, 27 bucks, less than 30 bucks for a 100 ml bottle of this EDP. It is a bit heavy, a bit cloying with the sweetness at first. That does dry off, thankfully. Kind of a synthetic sweetness remains just a tad though, but isn't enough to throw you off your game. It's not that bad. It really isn't that bad. It's enough to live with. It is a pleasant enough overall aroma that light synthesis of aroma chemicals isn't off-putting at all. However, it is a very heavy and strong fragrance, so you got to be careful how much you spray. Double tap, or even on one spot, and that's enough. That's all you need. It's going to last you a good 6-7 plus hours, and you're going to smell like that lightly exotic, fresh, fruity. Who would wear this? I would say it leans a bit feminine at times, but it does ride that line down the middle. So this would be for a man who wants to smell just a bit different, bordering on exotic. It's not better than Erba Pura by any stretch. It's not that hyper-realistic fruit that you would be getting in like Acqua di Parma, Blue Mediterraneo, Arancia di Capri, that orange, you know, and fruit that is hyper-realistic and fresh. It's equally fresh, but it is a bit synthetic. That's the only negative that I can say about this. But I mean, who cares? For less than 30 bucks, Erba Pura, even discounted, whether you're getting it directly from Xerjoff or say FragranceNet.com, is going to be over $200. And then this one from FragranceNet.com is 27 something, so 28 bucks, less than 30 bucks. So very well worth it as a high quality mimic of the super popular Xerjoff Erba Pura. So if that is your game, if you want to smell very fresh and fruity, and of course this is cold weather, even during winter, there are benefits to smelling super fresh and fruity, I think, because everyone likes to be reminded of the upcoming summertime, and what better way than to wear a super fruit banger, fruit basket beast, we'll call it. In terms of performance is great. In terms of who would wear it, just somebody that loves the smell of fruit, whether you're male or female. I would say more on the female side, but if you're a man and you love the smell of fresh fruits and you want to smell slightly exotic, slightly fruity, sexy, with the musky, vanillic, and woody tonal quality in the base, in the end there, to subsidize that fruit basket, this will be the fragrance for you. And you're not going to break the bank. It's super inexpensive. Well, guys, that's it for my brief coverage of Geparlys Cedre Bleu from their collection Privé, their private collection, which is cloning the very popular Xerjoff Erba Pura, which is relatively expensive as niche fragrances go. Again, I don't talk about clones very often on my channel, and I rarely talk about niche clones, but I think there's no better clone of a fragrance than from the niche genre. Because they can be so expensive, it's understandable that you would look for a knockoff that's going to be really close at tremendous discount. If you have any experience with Cedre Bleu or any other Geparlys fragrance or a high dollar niche fragrance that you have found a great clone for, share that with everyone in the comments below. That's why the comments are there. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in to today's video. If you have other content that you want to hear about or other fragrances that you would like me to review or give you my kind of quick and dirty knockdown of the best of, please let me know what those are as well in the comments. Again, thanks so much for your time, and as always, thank you so much for your continued support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video review.